For those of you who have heard of Robert Kiyosaki's four quadrants, this will sound a little bit repetitive, but there is a point to it at the end, so stay tuned. But essentially, the four quadrants consist of, on the top left, right, so up here you have the E. The E stands for the employee, right? Under the E, you have the S. S stands for self-employed. And then on the top right, you have the B, stands for business owner. And then underneath the B, you have the I, investor. And so those are the four ways to effectively make money. You're either an E, S, B, or I, right? And each of those makes money in different ways, and you can be in multiple different quadrants at one time. It could be all of them all together. There's a lot of different things going on there. If you want to get a real deep dive into what all that is, there's a whole book around it. I'd encourage you to go read it, listen to the audiobook. It's really informative and helps you understand people, especially when it comes to business, but as I'm going to get to here in a second, really just in everyday life, because right after he describes in the book the four quadrants, he goes into talking about how if you listen to people's words and the words that they're using, you can tell which quadrant that they're actually in. So, for example, if you hear people talking about the benefits of something, right? More than likely, that person is in the E quadrant, right? So they're looking for something in addition to, the money, because the money is really not that important to them. And this can be, it doesn't have to just be in the job situation. If you hear people thinking, or they're trying to buy a house, right? And they're asking questions around the extras, or what are the benefits that come along with it? What are the benefits of this car in addition to the car, right? Those are the type of things that you hear and you're like, okay, that person is probably an employee, right? They have the employee mindset. And the more you're around that person, you can see which quadrant that they predominantly think in. So you compare that to right across the way, the B quadrant, or the business owner, and he's the guy where you hear his words of, I'm looking for the president that I'm hiring for the company, right? And within his typical day, you can understand how he's thinking in terms of he's more of the guy that is, I'm going to hire the expert to come in and be able to do their thing, and I can and take more of my time to think about thinking, right? And so it's very interesting to hear Kiyosaki talk about how words are so important within which quadrant you are in, right? Because a lot of people read the book and they're like, okay, great. So I'm in the E quadrant right now. Maybe I'm in the S quadrant. I'm on the left side. But I could easily just jump over and get to the I side, and where I invest, my money makes money. I do Forex, I do crypto trading, I give money to some guy and he goes and he does the real estate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? All of these things that are out there. Hey, if you can, I just saw an ad today on YouTube. Hey, if you can operate an app, you can make passive income, blah, 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 right? So they're all pushing that jump over to the I. What he talks about, and I think a lot of people overlook, is those words, right? He mentions how to actually change those words, you're changing something at a core level. And so it's very few people that are able to actually make that change, because you are changing something that is at fundamentally where you started. Meaning, when you came into this world, you started making these, you started accepting these viewpoints, or what the world is in front of you, right? You looked at the color green and you accepted, okay, that's the color green, right? We can all agree that's the color of green, or you accepted that specifically, right? So for money, right, it could be I have to trade my time for money. You accepted that at one point. And so if you want to change, you're going to have to go back and actually rewrite that, right? And accept something new. So you have to somehow pull whatever you accepted that color is green. You have to pull that out somehow. And then you have to reinsert that the color is actually blue, right? So it's something to really consider about specifically words, the words that you're using, right? And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, it's looking at what is what is creating the words, right? Because yes, you can say that it depends on how aware you are, really. Um, but if you're pretty aware of what's going on, your thoughts are going to create your words, right? And so most people that think that they actually create their thoughts, but your thoughts are actually a reaction to something, right? And so it's about figuring out why are those thoughts coming up, because they're just coming up because of something you accepted, right, in the past. And you're coming into that experience once again, which is just the past. Um, and in order to actually change that, you have to have a crossroads, right, at that experience to create, hey, no, this is the present, and that is no longer green. This is now blue. Um, so it's very interesting, but it's extremely important to look at, especially when you're, if you're interested in getting over to these other sides, right? It's not just a jump, because when you just jump that and don't change the mindset, you're abdicating all of your control and giving away all of your responsibility, and you are going to learn a very hard lesson, especially if you try to get into the I quadrant. And I will tell you, I've experienced 3/4 of $1 million consequence from trying to do that, and it's not very fun, right? So if you guys are going through these things, if you have any questions around this, feel free to reach out. I always love talking about this, but more important than just talking, I have the solutions to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what you need to do in this situation. This is exactly where you need to go. These are the people that you need to talk to. This is what we have going on. So if you're in that, and this can be, again, it's not just about business, right? There's a specific mindset that is involved within how you run your family, a specific mindset involved with how you run your relationship with your significant other, a significant mindset, a specific mindset involved with how you have an agreement with your parents and how that relationship is functioning. Typically it's just emotion, right? But there's better ways there. And if you're dealing with one way and want to get to another way, right, none are better than the other, right? It's just, if you're looking to get to one of the others, I'd encourage you to really consider these points. And if you need support, feel free to reach out. And I'm happy to jump on a call or whatever. I think I have some links down there. You can also just leave a comment. But yeah, subscribe if you guys see any value in any of this. I'm ultimately just keeping this super raw, and just want to get some points out that I've gone through and am continuously addressing and correcting, and want to kind of share those things because it's really making an impact on my life, and I can see within my relationships the feedback, and I really understand now that there's so many people that are just completely lost and um, need some support. So that's really my intention, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care. Peace.